when we move on. Okay, so for this first question, for those of you who've learned it in school this way, we're going to be doing FOIL. So the F stands for first terms. So the x times the x, and x times x gives us x squared. The O, I'm going to use different colors as we move along here, just so that you can see what I'm doing. The O stands for outer. So that's x times -3, which is -3x. Then we have the I, which stands for inner. So it's 1 times x, which is 1x. And we have the L for last. So that's 1 times -3, which is -3. And then when we, in this situation, now we try and find our like terms, and -3x and 1x are like terms, which means I'm allowed to add them. And so I have x squared, and then -3 plus 1, which is -2x, and then I have my -3. And so that takes me to this point over here. So our first step is we multiply everything by using our FOIL. So first outers, inners, last. Then we find our like terms, we add them together, and we get our final answer. Okay, for those of you who are still feeling confused, you can listen again in question 2. But before we move on to question 2, I would like to get an idea of who managed okay with question 1. So let's say if you got to this point, then you can give yourself 1. And if you got to this point, you can give yourself 2. So Alvarez, of course. Alvarez, who hates algebra, getting them all right. You can tell me whether you got 0 or if you got 1 or if you got 2. Nice. And remember, getting 0 is totally fine as well. The only thing with 0 is that we got to just try by the end of the lesson to try and get to, starting to like algebra, Tiana. Yes, well done. Algebra is my favorite part of maths.
That's beautiful.
Okay, cool.
Tiana. That's good.
Okay, so now those of you who got a 0, welcome, Benjamin. Those of you who got a 0, don't panic. We're going to try and make sure that those zeros become 1s and 2s by the end of this lesson. Okay, so let's have a look at question 2. Now, question 2, the reason question 2 is trickier is because we've got this number chilling on the outside of these 2 brackets. Okay, hi, Feroza. And so the first thing we want to do is we want to multiply those 2 brackets together. That's our first goal. So we're going to keep our 2 exactly where it is, and then we're going to start doing our FOIL. So try and follow along, those of you who are feeling confused. We take our first term and we multiply it by our first term. So 3x times x gives us 3x squared. That's our first thing. Then we take our first term and we multiply it by the next one. 3x times 2 is going to give us 6x. Then we look at our next one. And -1 times x is going to give us -1x. And then we look at our last terms, -1 times 2, which is -2. Okay, so all we did was we did our FOIL. We did firsts, outers, inners, lasts. We multiplied a binomial by a binomial. Okay, so that's our first step. Second step, we now want to deal with the fact that we have got these like terms here in the middle. So we want to add them together. So I've got the 3x squared. And now in here, I've got 6x minus 1x, which is 5x, and my -2. Okay. And then all we have to do is we distribute our 2. So we take this 2 into each one. So 2 times 3x is 6x squared. 2 times 5x is 10x. And 2 times -2 is -4. Okay, so for this one, let's break out our numbers in a slightly different way. Let's say if you got what's happening inside this bracket, you can give yourself 1. If you simplified inside that bracket, so if you got this 5x, you can give yourself 2. And then if you distribute everything, you can give yourself 3. So let me know, go 0, 1, 2, or 3 out of 3. Oh, well done.
Yo, well done. 3s. 2. Hey. 1, don't worry, you'll get it. 2. I think those who got 2 fell into your trick, the 2 in front.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay, let's try and move on to what we're going to be working on today. So we're going to stay in the realm of binomials. The only thing different is we're going to start bringing other things in. So for example, here we've got this +3 that's happening on the other side. So we're going to add a couple of steps in. As soon as we have different things going on, the first thing that we want to do, let's see if anyone thinks that they can remember the first thing that I want us to do. I want you to be able to identify something. Can anyone tell me what the first thing I want you to find is? Yes, there we go. You guys, you know so well. The first thing I want you to do is I want you to identify the terms. You know me so well. Okay, so in this question, how many terms do I have? Let's see if everyone agrees.
2.
Nice. We definitely have 2 terms. Okay, we've got 1 term over there, and then we've got 1 term over there. And when we did our mixed order operations, we knew that step 2 was that we wanted to simplify each term. Okay. And so for this 3 over here, there's nothing I can do. It's just a 3. I can't simplify it anymore. But in this first term, I need to do simplification. And in the first term, the first thing I want to do is I want to multiply those 2 brackets together. Okay, so what I'd like everyone to do, those of you who are feeling confident, you're welcome to do this whole thing. Those of you who are struggling a little bit, what I'd really like you to do is I want you to just multiply those 2 binomials together. So what you're going to land up with is a -2, and then you're going to land up with 4 terms inside this bracket. And then you're going to have a +3. Okay, so those of you who are struggling, all I want you to do at the moment is focus on multiplying those 2 binomials together to give me those 4 terms. Okay. Just going to give you a little bit of time to figure that out, and then we're going to talk about our next step.
Right, I think we have a hand from policy.
I think that they may not be connected to audio because I don't see the little microphone. Can you maybe help and see if that's what the problem is?
Yeah.
Just send a message.
Go.
Thanks. Okay, Ezekiel's come in with an answer. So Ezekiel, when we have an x and we have to multiply by another x, we automatically are going to get an x squared. So that means that somewhere in here, I'm going to have an x squared. Okay. So let's try and go through this step by step. The x times the x is going to give me x squared. X times -5 is going to give me -5x. 2 times x is going to give me 2x, and 2 times -5 is going to give me -10. Okay. Is there anyone who's really struggling with just doing that part there with the binomial times the binomial? Is there anyone who's struggling with that? Okay. Lita, can you tell me what's happening? She's with the dogs.
You know?
Okay. All right. So let's just go through the step one more time. One more time for those of you who are feeling confused. Okay. So what we want to do is we want to group those together. Okay, don't panic. You don't need to stress. Just one step at a time. I promise we'll get there together. Lita, all I'm wanting you to do is in this first bracket, we need to make sure we multiply it by both things in the second bracket. So we take this x, and the first thing we do is we multiply it by that second x. So we're saying, what is x times x? We're saying, what is x times x? And that's going to give me x squared. Then our second thing is we're saying, what is x times negative 5? And that's going to give me negative 5x. Then we look down here and we say, what is 2 times x? And it gives me 2x. And then we say, what is 2 times 5? And that gives me negative 10. Okay, so that's our first step. First step is we're just doing our two binomials multiplied together. Second step, we want to add two like terms. So we're going to say, I'm going to do this in orange because we're still working on simplifying each term. So I've got my negative 2, and now I've got x squared minus 3x minus 10, and then I've got this plus 3 just chilling there on the side. Okay. So all we did here was we took that negative 5x plus the 2x, and we got a negative 3x over there. Okay. Next step, all we want to do now is we want to take this negative 2 and we want to multiply it by everything in that bracket. So we're going to say negative 2 times x squared is negative 2x squared. Negative 2 times negative 3 is positive 6x. Negative 2 times negative 10 is positive 20. And then we have our plus 3. Okay, that is all part of step 2. Then our final step over here is we are going to add and subtract like terms. Okay. So from here, all we have, our only likes that we've got that are happening at the moment is we've got this 20 and the 3. And so our final answer is going to be negative 2x squared plus 6x plus 23. Okay. Okay. Let's try and figure out where people are struggling. So I'm just going to try and go through this chat here. Okay, so Benjamin, which step are you struggling with? And have you done this in class already? So you can either unmute and talk to me, or you can write in the chat. Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Alvarez. Emily, the lessons are all being recorded, so don't panic. Okay. Okay, that's okay. If you haven't done this in class and it's feeling a little bit scary, don't panic. That's why we do these together. So we're just going to do a few of these today. Some people who have been in this class since we started this lesson are going to be feeling more confident than others, and that's okay. All right. Okay, so this is just the first one, so don't stress. Who managed to get this one 100% right? So who managed to get to the negative 2x squared plus 6x plus 23? Okay, cool. It's okay if you're not understanding. Okay, so if you haven't done it in class, Benjamin, then the thing that's super important is you just try, oh good, Selma, just try and focus each step that we're going through. I'm going to keep going step by step for these first few questions, and then hopefully it will start coming together. But the most important thing is, if you haven't done this in class, especially if you're new, is have a piece of paper with you. You can't just be looking at the screen. It's not going to help you. Make sure you've got a piece of paper next to you. Make sure you've got your pen with you or pencil to work from, and try and do it step by step with me. Okay. Ludiko, that's okay. That's great that you were able to make progress though. Okay, let's try another one. So For those of you who are new and are struggling, what I'd like you to focus on is I want you to just, so if you're new, okay, and you're struggling with what's going on here, I only want you to do part of this. So I only want you to do x minus 2, x plus 4. Okay, that's the only part I'm wanting you to focus on. Thomas quizzes are only on Thursday, so don't panic. Okay, and when we're doing a binomial times a binomial, the important thing is that we multiply everything with everything. So if you're a new person, I want you to just do what's on the right-hand side there, the blue side. I will talk you through it as well, so don't stress. And if you're not new and you're dealing with everything okay, then I want you to be focusing what's on the left. And the first thing you're going to be doing is dividing that into your two terms. Yeah. Remember, maths is all about building. So if you miss lessons, then things do feel a little bit harder when you come back. So don't panic. It just takes a bit of adjustment. Okay. So those of you who are finding this easy and you're working on the pink highlighted question at the moment, that's great. Those of you that are struggling a little bit, I want you to focus on this question on the right-hand side under new, and we're going to go through it step by step. Okay. So when we do a binomial times a binomial, that's what this is. A binomial times a binomial. So those of you who haven't done it in class yet, when you get to it in class, that's what it's going to be called. And it's called a binomial because there are two terms here and there are two terms there. So if you think about a bicycle that has two wheels, that's why it's telling you that there are two terms involved. Okay. And when we have a binomial times a binomial, what we have to do is we have to multiply everything with everything. And often it's taught in class as FOIL. And what that means is we take our first term and we multiply it by our other first term. So that's what that F stands for. Okay, so first term times first term, x times x gives us x squared. Then we take our O for outer. So x times 4. X times 4 is 4x. Then we take negative 2 times x, that's inner, they are inside terms. Negative 2 times x is negative 2x. And L for last is negative 2 times positive 4, which is negative 8. Okay, and then from there, what you're going to want to do is simplify your like terms. So those of you who are new, I want you to try and finish off that question on the right. Those of you who are working on this pink question over here, just make sure that your first step is looking like this. Okay. So make sure your first step is looking like that if you're working on the pink question. And then make sure we simplify this guy a little bit. You don't have to do that now. You could do your distribution first, but it will make your life a little bit easier if you do it now. Oh, you know what I think happened, Ezekiel? I think you have forgotten about your signs. Just be careful. Katani, for getting to this point here, you would absolutely, at this point, you would have gotten a mark there and a mark there. Okay. Quiz days, Thursdays. Okay, the new people on the right-hand side. Anyone who is new who attempted this question, can you tell me what answer you landed up getting there? Let me see. It's direct messages. Beautiful. Okay. So we've got our x squared, and then we've got 4x minus 2x, which gives me 2x, and then we've got our minus 8. And that would be my final answer over there on the right-hand side. Okay, is there anyone who's new, who hasn't done this in class, who is still feeling confused by a binomial times a binomial? Looking at this over here, let me know. Okay. Emily, you're still feeling confused? Okay, so those of you who are new, who are feeling confused, don't worry. In every question, I'm going to give you a question on the right-hand side that you can work on if you're feeling lost, and then everyone else can work on the left-hand side. Okay, but it's really important that when you don't understand something, instead of just saying I'm confused or I don't understand anything, try and tell me which part you're getting confused with. So I'm struggling with getting to the first part, or I'm struggling to getting to the second part, or I don't understand how there's a -8. So try and think about like an exact question, because it'll make it much easier for me and Mr. Shongwe to help you. Okay. Okay, those of you who carried on working on the left-hand side with the pink, I'm just going to keep this one going. So now we're going to do some distribution. So I'm going to keep my 3x, and I'm going to take in my -2. So I'm going to have -2x squared minus 4x plus 16. And then I just need to find my like terms. So I'm looking for things that are exactly the same. So I've got this 3x and this minus 4x. So I've got -2x squared, 3 minus 4, which is -1, and then plus 16. Okay. Okay, those of you with this one on the right-hand side with the green one, the -8 came because I said, what is -2 times 4? So -2 times 4 is going to give me -8. That's how I got to that -8. Let's have a look. Yeah, so if you wrote -1x minus 2x squared plus 16, that's also great. It's also fun. Okay, also just remember, those of you who are struggling, if you send Mr. Shongwe a direct message, he will happily help you one-on-one in the chat. So send him a message if you're really still struggling, but I'm going to carry on writing easier ones on the right-hand side for those of you who are not coping at the moment, okay? Okay, so well done to everyone who landed up getting this purple one 100% right. We're going to keep on going. Okay, remember, try and not use the words I'm lost or I'm confused, and try and think of something more specific. Try and think of which parts of the question you're struggling with, only because it makes it easier for us to help you, not because we don't want to know that you're lost. I definitely want to know when you need help. I just need to know how to help you. Okay. Okay, so the -8 is coming from saying, what is -2 times +4? So -2 times +4 is going to give me -8. That's how I'm getting that -8. So I've got -2 times +4, which is equal to -8. Mzi, well done for getting it right. That's awesome. It just takes practice. Okay, let's try another one. You simplify until we have no more like terms that we can add together. Okay. Okay, so those of you who are feeling confident, I want you to work in this yellow one over here. Those are your 2 terms that you're going to work with. And those of you who are not feeling confident yet, I want you to work with this question here. Okay. So those are the 2 questions I want you to work with. So those of you who are feeling confused, just remember, you take it step by step. You say the first term times the first term. The first term times the second term. The second term times the first term. The second term times the second term. We're multiplying them together. Okay. I'm just going to give you both a little bit of time to give these a try. Remember, if you're feeling confused, still attempt something. So try and write something down on your page. It's always better than not writing anything. And those of you who are working on the yellow, as soon as you have answers, you can chuck them into me. So when you give me an answer in the chat, if you could say that you have an answer for yellow, so you could say yellow answer, or you could say green answer. Okay, and if you don't want the answer to go to everyone, you just send a direct message, and then I will be the only one who sees it. Okay, so we're getting some yellow answers coming in. Okay. I'm going to have a talk about the green one first. So those who are working on yellow, you can just keep on working on yellow. For the green one, we're saying I have my first term and I'm multiplying it by my first term. So x times x, which is going to give me x squared. Okay, we're multiplying those two together. Then I'm saying, what is x times negative 2? X times negative 2 is negative 2x. Then I'm saying, what is 3 times x, which is 3x. And the last one, I'm saying, what is 3 times negative 2? And that gives me negative 6. Okay, so those of you who are working on green, if there's something in those 4 numbers that you don't understand how I got to, please let me know so that I can help. If you don't understand how I got to one of those numbers, let me know. This is your time. Okay, so the direct message that I got there, some of that was great. You just added some instead of multiplying. Oh, okay, but that's getting close is good. Can you try and tell me which one you messed up so that I can help you figure out what happened? So a very common mistake with these is that people will say 3 minus 2 and get 1 instead of multiplying. But remember, with binomials, we are multiplying. We are timesing all of them together. We are multiplying the whole time. Okay, so this one's not quite finished yet because you've still got these like terms that you need to add together. So those of you working on green, I want you to finish off that question. And while you're finishing off that question, I'm just going to move on to yellow for a bit. Okay, so yellow, we're first going to do these binomials over here. So y times y is y squared, y times 1 is y, negative 1 times y is negative y, negative 1 times 1 is negative 1. And then my second term over here, I'm taking my negative 3 into both of those. So negative 3y and negative 3 times negative 2, which is positive 6. Okay, so I get to this point over here. Now that I've sort of multiplied everything out and I've simplified each term as much as I can, we're just going to add our like terms together. So let's have a look at what we have that are the same. I've got y. Oh, that color is not going to work for us. Let's do circles. I've got y minus 3y. So y minus y, they're going to go away. They cancel each other out. And so I'm just left with that minus 3y. So I've got y squared minus 3y. And then I've got negative 1 plus 6, which is positive 5. And that would be the final answer of my yellow. Okay. So for yellow, yeah, if you write 1y, that's perfectly fine. And if you write -1y, that's also perfectly fine. Yeah, signs get messy, guys, but just remember when we're multiplying, if the signs are the same, so a positive times a positive and a negative times a negative, so if these signs are the same as each other, then our answer is always going to be a positive answer. And if our signs are different to each other, then our answer is going to be negative. Okay. And then just to the question that came in, we did do fractions and integers in our previous course, in the first course we did of the year. But that's okay. The important thing is that you try and get some of the steps right. So like if you messed up part of it, then that's totally fine. And remember in maths, you get continued accuracy marks. So you might get some things wrong and some things right. Oh, if it's switched around, like if you wrote -3y plus y squared plus 5, that's the same. They mean the same as each other. So that's fine. Nice job, Thomas. Good. Okay, let's try and finish off this green question on the right now for those of you who are there. So for the green question, we're trying to add these like terms. So I've got the x squared, then I've got the -2 plus 3, which is going to give me positive 1x, and then I've got my -6. Okay, and that would be my final answer to green. 1x squared. Okay, yes, that was perfect. So you just left off your x after the plus sign, but otherwise that was great. Nice. Okay, I feel like we're making good progress. Good. Okay, it is to give your brains a bit of a break. I want to know, so those of you who are new, don't panic. This isn't work that you have to know in school. This is just like something different to give your brain a break in between all of the work that we're doing. I want to know what this question mark is, and that is, I'm not telling you any hints. I want to know what that question mark is. The answer is not 10. Ahika Lee, the answer is 9. Can you tell me how it's 9? I'm seeing lots of people are getting the correct answer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes, 4 plus 3 plus 2. Awesome. Okay, so for
Awesome.
those of you who hadn't caught it yet, you're just adding together the things in the block. So this was 4 plus 8 plus 7. That gave you the 19. And here 8 plus 2 plus 1 gave you 11. Here 5 plus 5 plus 1 gave you 11. This one 2 plus 3 plus 7 gave you 12. And so this is going to be 9. Nice. Well done to those of you who got it. Joan, you're just adding. You are definitely just adding. Why were you doubting your answer? You should trust yourself. Okay. All right. Let's jump back into our questions. Okay. They're getting harder for those of you who are working on the ones on the left-hand side of the screen. So this one, those are my 2 terms. That's my green question. So those of you who are feeling good, you can work on that green question. And those of you who are still struggling a little bit, I would like you to work on the blue question. Okay, so we're going to have the green question on the left and the blue question on the right. And you're going to choose which one you are going to work on depending on how you're feeling. And the important thing is that you feel a little bit better by the end of this lesson than you did at the beginning. You don't need to be an expert. You don't need to know it all off by heart and know exactly what you're doing. You can still make mistakes, but you should be a little bit more confident than when we started. That's our goal. And just remember, if you're feeling lost while you work through it, just put a question in the chat for us and we can address it and we can help. So if you're not knowing where to go, and if you're really struggling, just send Mr. Shongwe a message, direct message, and then he can help you from there.
Ma'am, can I ask something?
course, Tiana, yeah.
So may I make the puzzle easy today? Yo, and then I'm still thinking it's something hard, like always. I mean, what?
I made it too easy.
May I made it easy today. I thought it was again gonna be something hard.
I thought people weren't going to see it. So I thought that I thought people would find it harder than they did.
Thursday it must be like an exam. We must not figure it out.
Like a hard question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I
Thank you,
accept that challenge, Tiana.
Thank you, ma'am.
Let's see. Blue final answer. We've got x squared. Okay, so some of that's looking great. Just be careful with your signs. So we're just going to have a look at our signs. We're going to have a look at our signs if you're working in the blue question. So just be careful. So the first one, your x times x, those of you who got the x squared, that's awesome. If you got that, give yourself a nice big tick. Okay. Then you're saying x times -2. So this is a positive times a negative, which means it's going to be negative 2x. Okay. So if you got that negative 2x, you're going to give yourself a big tick. Then we're going to look down here. We've got negative 4 times x, which is going to give us negative 4x. Give yourself a tick. And then the last one, we have negative 4 times negative 2. And a negative times a negative gives us a positive. So that is going to be positive 8. So if you're working on the blue one, just be careful with your signs there and see how you did with that. Almost, yeah, almost. Okay. First step for the greens. I'm not going to do all of it because I know some of you are still working. I'm just going to do the first step. Well done. Nice. Okay, first step with the green. I'm going to take this to, sorry, my dog is just going a bit very excited to be home. Okay, on the first term, we're going to say 2 times x, which is 2x, and 2 times -3, which is -6. And then on the right, we're going to say +3, and we're going to put this in a big bracket. And we're going to do our binomial times our binomial. So we're going to have x squared minus 7x plus 2x minus 14. Okay, so if you got to this point in the green, I want you to give yourself a tick for getting those two right. And I want you to give yourself a tick for getting everything in that bracket correct. Yeah, exactly. You are making progress. Okay. All right. Sometimes you do a poll. I'm going to give you the same poll that you did last week, which was just the confidence poll today. So we're going to do that just before we end off the lesson though. Okay, next step, we're going to take this 3 in. Oh, no. Let's first simplify. I'm jumping ahead. So simplify those 2 in there. So I'm going to have 2x minus 6 plus 3 times x squared minus 5x minus 14. And now I'm going to take this 3 in. So that I have 2x minus 6 plus 3x squared minus 15x minus 42. Okay. And now I'm just going to find my like terms. So I've got this x squared by himself. I've got this 2x and this negative 15x. And then I have got this negative 6 and this negative 42. So my final answer is going to be 3x squared. My x's are going to be negative 13x and my numbers are going to be negative 48. Okay, so I'd love to know who landed up getting the green one 100% right, because it's quite a hard question. So if you landed up getting that right, then that is really, really, really cool. Nice job, guys. And those of you who are working on the blue, let's finish off that question now. So we've got this negative 2x and the negative 4x. So that's going to become x squared minus 6x plus 8. So I'm also very keen to hear who landed up getting the blue correct. So let me know if you got the green correct and if you got the blue correct. The final answer to get the green question is all we did was we added up our like terms. So the sorry, I think I asked someone to unmute by mistake. If you got a notification that said unmute, that was you don't need to unmute. Okay, so what we're looking at here is that is how we got that 3x squared. Then we had for our x's at 2x minus 15, which gave us negative 15. And then our numbers, we had negative 6 minus 42, which gave us the negative 48. Well done for getting the blue, guys. Nice. Green was easy. Sure, Feroza. Okay. 95% on green. Good. Amukuleni, Alani, sorry, do you have a question? Where's your hand up?
Yes, Amugilani, your hand is up.
Okay, I'm going to move down. Let's try and do one more for this evening. Oh, that one's a bit nasty. Ooh, okay. No, because Feroza said that the other one was so easy. So let's try this one. Okay, so those of you who are doing the ones on the left, maybe some of you are feeling more confident. You who have been working on the right, maybe you feel like you can work on the left now. But if you don't, I'm going to write you a blue question, but I'm going to make it a little bit tougher, just so you're also getting a little bit more practice as we move on. Okay, so there's the yellow question on the left and the blue question on the right. Think about where your skill level is and which one you're wanting to attempt. So if this is the first time that you're seeing these types of things and you want to do the blue question, if you're wanting to challenge yourself a bit, then you want to do the yellow question. And this will be our last one for the evening. So you can use the whole of your brain on this question. It looks scarier than it is, though. Good. I'm glad you're starting to get it, Benjamin. That's excellent. So just make sure that you're multiplying everything by everything, not leaving anything out. I'm seeing some great answers coming in for blue in the chat. Okay, those of you working through blue, I'm going to start working through it on the board. So let's see how you went. So we're going to have 2x times x, which gives me 2x squared. Then we have 2x times 4, which is going to give me 8x. We've got negative 3 times x, which is negative 3, and negative 3 times 4, which is negative 12. Okay. Now I want to find my like terms, which is this 8x and the negative 3x. I'm going to add them together. So I've got 2x squared, 8 minus 3, which is 5 and my negative 12. Nakabonga, how can I help? I see that hand up.
Ma'am, I have a question.
Sure.
When you have two variables, I'm a bit confused there with the yellow question.
Yeah, so it's just a little bit nastier. Okay, so let me work through that one and then hopefully it'll clear it up a bit for you. Okay, so the first part everyone should have felt okay with. All we did was we distributed that 2x in. Okay, so 2x times negative 3x gives us our negative 6x squared, and 2x times 1 gave us our 2x. Okay, so that I'm hoping everyone felt okay with. Then we start looking at the other side, so I'm going to put a big bracket around these. Now, when I multiply that by there, it looks scary, but it's actually just saying, what is x squared y times x? And we did that a couple of lessons ago. That's not anything scary. It's x cubed y. And then we're saying, what is x squared y times negative 2? That's just negative 2 x squared y. So we just don't let it. Then here, we're going to have negative 3 times x, which is negative 3x, and negative 3 times negative 2, which is positive 6. And now in there is no like term, can't add anything. So all I can do now is do my distribution. Okay. So I'm going to have negative 6x squared plus 2x minus 2x cubed y plus 4x squared y plus 6x minus 12. And then I find my like terms. So I've got this 2x and this 6x, and nothing else is a like term. So I'm going to have negative 6x squared plus 8x minus 2x cubed y plus 4x squared y minus 12. And I know the yellow one was a bit scary, but that's because Feroza was telling me that the last one I gave was far too easy. So now hopefully this has scared a little bit into some of you who landed up getting blue 100% correct and who landed up getting yellow 100% correct. Let us know so we can celebrate your victories. If anyone got yellow, I'm going to just jump out of the seat. I'm going to be so excited. Yay! Blue 100%. Awesome. Feroza got yellow right. Look at that. Well done. Okay. On that note, I am going to pass you guys on to Mr. Shongwe. He's going to do a quick poll with you, the same one that you guys did on Thursday, which was just looking at your confidence in the lesson. So he's going to run that with you, and then he's going to as soon as you finish the poll with him, then you can head on out for the evening, and I will see you guys again on Thursday. Okay. So bye guys.